Welcome back to Bleeding Rainbow Comics. I'm LJ.
And I'm Win.
And today we finally get to talk about Wicked. This is going to be a spoiler review. Heads up. If you want to check out our non-spoiler review, head on over to Nerd Initiative. And if you want to check out my written review, head over to Nerd Initiative. But we are getting into the nitty-gritty on our own channel. I have the same amount of words right now that I did when the movie was over. My jaw was on the floor. I am enthusiastically awestruck. So for this movie, I was very nervous going into it because the movie musicals that have come from stage to screen lately have not been top tier, to say the least, especially Dear Evan Hansen. That was not good. And there's a certain amount of stage magic that still needs to be able to be transferred over to the movie and make it theatrical. And Dear Evan Hansen did not do that. I thought Mean Girls was fun. I love that show, so it was hard for me not to like it.
Yeah, can't beat the original though.
But it did not match up to the original. It did not give a true, I would say, that theatrical, like musical theater experience to your screen. I am very happy to say that Wicked, however, is a masterclass in bringing stage to screen without trying to be something else. For instance, Mean Girls tried to be pop, which it is kind of a pop rock musical, but there is a lot of musical theater left in that show that did not make it to the screen. Wicked is unapologetically still the same show. It is very musical theater, and the characters do not try to sing with different timbres. They really own, this is the show, and here we are elevating it up into the cinema.
Yeah.
They did an excellent job. I am very happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth.
I'm trying to take a breath so you can have a minute to talk. I'm just very excited about this movie.
I mean, everything down to their costuming, the stage stuff.
Production design.
There
you go. The sets, the props.
Yeah, I mean,
the world
little
building.
detail. And you could see each place that everything came from. Fiero's horse is blue, and it's a homage to the original movie where there was green horses in the Emerald City. And it's just interesting that you can see.
I just liked his flamboyant little dismount from the horse.
Yeah.
Let's say we can talk spoilers now. we just finished recording our non-spoiler review, so we are excited to not have a filter for this one. But yeah, this is just, it is a refreshingly incredible take on the stage show.
Yeah.
And it is elevated in every single way. Going into it, for instance, I have seen the stage show. I have sang the music for years, but I've never read the book.
And I've read the book and never seen the stage play.
So we are coming from very different places. So just so you know where we are coming from, but as somebody who in the early 2000s, queer little middle school me, being obsessed with the music for this show, I never thought that something else would surpass it. But it's so good, y'all. Just go watch the movie. Just leave this review. Go watch the movie. Going into it, like you said, the production design, the costume design, especially Glinda's costume design, which of course was going to look phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because she is the most flamboyant of the bunch, and she has to be the main focus anytime she's on the screen because that's her whole personality. That's what makes you popular.
But yeah, like the little poofs, like on the original Glinda, they mimicked in all her outfits. Like they all had that little poof in some way.
Yeah.
And her last look, I thought it was interesting because it was see-through fabric. So you could see the arm, but the poof was still there.
Yeah, and I really like that in a lot of the costume design. a lot of the past costume design, I'll say, is very much fairy tale esque and like think magical or more magical, I guess, Cinderella.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but this, I feel like it is a very modern take on the musical. I thought that their costume design was not very I poofy princess dress.
Yeah,
It
it was
was
fashion.
stylish.
Yeah.
In
I
which if you cast Ariana Grande, you better put her in something
Well,
stylish.
even Elphabas though, like they found ways to make a
Girl
boring
wore that
black,
hat.
yeah, a boring black dress into a beautiful one because it has little intertwined pieces all across it,
Yeah.
and it was just an interesting way to make the Wicked Witch's plain dress
Yeah, I also
interesting.
liked her little hat frills that went all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that that was a really creative thing because, I mean, what can you do with a Black Witch's hat?
Mm-hmm.
They found something to do with it, and I want it.
Well, look at their
So if
broom.
anybody has one, please send it to me or buy me one.
I mean, the broom too. I mean, how interesting can you make a broom?
I
But
know. I
they
really
did.
liked that it was rooted and it went all the way around, similar to how the Agatha all
Yeah,
along brooms. They didn't look like that stereotypical kitchen broom.
yeah. It
It
was,
looked more nature.
yeah, roots and woven into a stick. It was
I will
really
say it
interesting.
is the year of the witch
Yeah.
and the year of the successful witch content
The
because
book
that show and this movie are phenomenal.
that she reads from at the end.
The Grimmery.
The Grimmery. Oh, it was so interesting of a design where it flipped up from a triangle and then flipped out.
Listen, y'all, I have seen so much magic and witch content in my life, and for them to have to create a new spell book that's
Yeah.
interesting and unique to the show, I think they did a fantastic job.
Yeah,
And I
it
really
was
liked both the outside of the book and how they did the inside of the book.
Yeah, it was
Um,
very out of the box. Like it was just I had never seen it done that way
I have
before.
purchased it. It is on its way to my home. It is a journal, and I will probably never draw in it, but it looks cool, so I
Yeah,
will display
it's
it.
just it was a really cool design.
Like I don't know. I like a lot of the I'll say choices that they made for this
Hmm.
movie.
I mean, they knew when to make it look magical and they knew when to make it look steampunk.
Yeah,
Like they just it's interesting how well they blended those two together to make a world.
yeah. It is very much a world that's well realized. It's fantastical. It's magical.
Hmm.
It's anything that you can tell, like the steampunk typey stuff.
Yeah.
You can tell that that's from the wizard because he's
Hmm.
not actually magical and everything is mechanical.
Yeah, I love it.
So anything that's not related to the wizard is fantastical and magical.
Yeah.
Even Glinda's bubble is technology.
Yeah, the chair part.
Hmm.
It looked very technology. I'm one.
Well, I believe the chair actually makes the bubble. I do not think Glinda
That's what
does
I'm
because I
wondering
think
too.
I don't think I saw it in the movie, but I think a trailer had it to where like it says step for bubble or something.
Mm,
So it's a button that she presses and it makes the bubble. So I don't think we saw Glinda actually use magic at all in this movie.
we didn't, except for the bubble thing, and that would make sense if it was some sort
It
of
was all
technology.
mechanical. Look at her
Yeah.
Kang the Conqueror chair.
Yeah, I like that idea better than when we were walking to the movie. I said, I wonder if maybe that's the only reason she can use the bubble, the levitation, was because she just heard what.
Because she can't read the Grimmery, she just
Yeah.
remembered what Elphaba said.
Yeah, and maybe that's how she did it. But I like yours better, the technology of it, and they just combined it somehow. Or
Yeah. Well,
or
we'll have to
using
see
it.
what they do for part 2 because she does get that training wand.
Yeah.
So maybe she does learn some baseline. I would like to see it just
But that
because
was
they have a pretty big budget. I want to see as much magic being
I
used in
don't-
this movie as possible.
I don't like it unless they do something with that, though. Like either she needs to hear Elphaba, like she repeated it that way,
Hmm.
because that was supposed to be such a big deal, right?
Well, it's
They
such a
couldn't
big
do
deal.
Ariel, but now they can because of the Grimmer.
Oh, they can't. The monkeys are Elphas now.
But that was the big thing. She used that spell twice. She did it once on the monkeys to give them
Mhm.
wings, and then she did it a different way
On
to
the
make the broom.
Yep.
So if that's such a crazy prove yourself spell, and that's what they needed her to read it for,
Hmm.
then I don't buy that Glinda would be able to learn it.
Well, and I don't think that she does.
Yeah, so that's why I like the
At least in this
technology version of it. Your theory.
I don't think she used magic
Yeah,
at all.
because she is supposed to just be a figurehead.
But
So
no,
it would make sense that she's fake,
yeah,
like everything
but
else.
she could potentially learn some magic
Yeah.
because, I mean, Michelle Yeoh's character, Madame Morrible, is capable of magic
Well,
without reading the Grimoire, but she's
also
just not as powerful or does as interesting things with it.
And I don't know about original Wizard of Oz books. I've never read the original books of Wizard of Oz. But I mean, in the movie, Glinda does like zap the shoes off and put them on Dorothy. So she must have some tidbit of magic if they do that route.
Yeah, maybe we'll see a flash. We did see Dorothy and the gang in the beginning of this movie.
Oh, I love how Lion is a lion.
And not a man in a lion suit?
Yeah, well, not even, because they could have went different ways with it. They could have made it anthropomorphic. Yeah, that. They could have made him that way, where it's obviously not human. It's not just prosthetic makeup.
They could have just borrowed the CGI from Cats.
God, no. Maybe that's why they didn't do it.
No, well, I mean, they have the budget. And they can have talking animals in a world where in the same year Mufasa is coming out. There's no reason to have a man in a lion costume.
Yeah. But they could have went that route of just making that word. And even just looked something like Beast from X-Men.
Yeah, well, then we wouldn't have gotten all of the other animals able to talk like her professor. I think it's more effective of the animal looks the same. You're just taking away the voice.
Yeah.
But no, I think that it was the only option for that.
Oh yeah, I love that they did it. I'm just because obviously they couldn't when the original movie was filmed, and that's why it's a dude in a suit. But it kind of rolled with it of like, oh, are they like that?
To clarify, we're talking about when Elphaba and Fiyero saved the lion cub from the cage and kind of, I don't know, E.T. bike basket him away. Because maybe not everybody noticed that, hey, that's a lion that is being saved that might be able to talk.
He was scared. He needed courage.
Well, he still don't have courage. That's the whole point. Or else Dorothy's whole thing would have never happened. Also, Glinda being a real jerk. There was a train that went to Oz this entire time, and Dorothy had to walk the whole road.
It was to stall time, I think.
She had to prove herself. Well, it's less magical. Yeah, take this train. Or maybe Elphaba just destroys the train before Dorothy gets there.
I mean, they're supposed to be buds, so she was stalling Dorothy time.
That's fair.
So they could come up with some sort of plan.
Yeah. We'll see if it works. According to the first scene of this movie, it does not. But yeah, let's...
when she was saying, like, I can see a party for me or a celebration, and it's them burning her.
She's all excited. The wizard and I hope they have a celebration for me.
Yeah.
But they do. It's that you're dead, and then they catch you on fire.
Well, because she saw a premonition of it.
Yeah.
It's just messed up. And then that field that she's running through, I think that's going to be the field of...
the poppy field.
The poppy field. Because I think because nobody can fly other than her, I think that she makes that a barrier so they can't get to her. Yes. And I think that's why. And since she had that specific thing, it's like a memory to her. So she used poppy fields.
I think that field is significant because there's no other reason that she would have ran out of the university for that song, ran through the field. Like, it just...
And all those felt
very intentional. It was a choice.
Yeah, and all those little ties together. That's what makes it a world. That's what makes
also for the CGI of that, putting her into that field and trying to blend her into that environment. Like, it was a choice of money that they put that field in there. So I agree. I think that's the poppy field. Also, the fact that we saw her make the poppies to even save the lion cub.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that there's a lot of seeds that they have planted visually into the first part of this movie.
You know something that bugs me
Well, I know a
about
lot of things that bug you, but do clarify.
about like so Elphaba, she's green, right? And there's other green characters in other movies like the Hulk and all that stuff. It always bugs me that the insides of their mouths and the corners of their eyes are still pink.
That's just how they
I
are.
feel like it should have a green tint to it on the inside as
Oh,
well.
that's dangerous. You'd have to get that like tattooed, and
They could do it with CGI.
I don't know. Have you seen Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande have so many wicked tattoos from this? Like that they got together, like many tattoos.
Really?
Yeah, many matching tattoos, and then
funny.
some not matching tattoos.
I mean,
which I mean, I would too, I guess.
I mean, yeah, if I was part of this, I'd want to wear it on me too.
Yeah, I get it like right here. Defy gravity.
And you know,
little broomstick.
You would give me crap because the actor who plays Fiyero, I'm not
Jonathan Bailey.
Yeah, I'm
Put
not
some respect on his name.
I'm not a huge fan of him as that character because to me he doesn't come off as the same age as them.
Ageist.
But I do like his moves in this and his
I would say his dancing is incredible.
Yeah,
and you can tell that they hired him because he has a dancing background.
Yeah, that library scene, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, dancing through live, and that's another thing going back to the set design being included into the choreography. That library scene of dancing through life, I thought that was. But the library scene, I thought that was a really good space where they clearly planned out what they wanted to do. They have that choreography ready to go, and I just thought the book thing was so cool with the ladders and stuff.
Yeah, and
I would have fallen on my face, but I'm glad that none of them did. But no, speaking of cast members, if we are going to talk about cast, we definitely need to address the pink and green in the room. So let's talk about Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. So Cynthia Erivo first, because she is wickedly amazing. No, I thought that her version, for lack of a better term, her version of Alphabet was amazing. Yeah. I prefer it much to any version that I have seen live. I also prefer it to Idina Menzel's version. I think that Cynthia Erivo has a much softer timbre to her voice, which makes you relate to Alphabet a little bit more.
Well, it just drives home that she's sweet and nice on the inside.
Well, Idina Menzel is a very much musical theater voice, and I think that that's great for her. But I think that with the film version, I think Cynthia Erivo not having that super pingy, bright musical theater voice, I think it did make a lot of difference. And I think that it also is part of what helped her chemistry with Ariana Grande when they sang together. Because they recorded a lot of those vocals live while they were shooting, but their voices worked really well together. Could not have cast this movie better. But also Cynthia Erivo's acting, her dramatic acting was really good in this movie.
She knew where to bring it when it needed to be funny and knew when to be dramatic. Yeah,
she's very much that introvert that laughs at her own jokes. And I appreciate that as being that introvert that laughs at his own jokes. But no, her subtlety was, I would say, one of her strengths for this. Now, Ariana Grande, on the flip side, was anything but subtle. She did have good subtle nuance to her acting, but where she really shined was her comedic timing.
Yes.
Her line delivery was outstanding. It was funny. It had heart. It made you like Glenda, even though you're not supposed to.
You love to hate her. Like she's so cringy. It's but hilarious.
She is so over the top, extra, and competing with the legacy of Kristen Chenoweth is no easy feat, and competing with the legacy of Idina Menzel is no easy feat either, of course. But I think that both of them really took the role. They knew the assignment. They elevated it and made it their own, because I think Ariana Grande is funnier. I
She,
think
her moments when she would flip her hair, flip,
yes, I also am an experienced hair flipper.
flip.
But no, it was just she's so funny, and
Yes.
her acting background, aging myself a little bit. Um, she was always put in comedic roles, but it was like Nickelodeon comedy.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I was nervous about this movie because I had never seen her seriously act.
Yeah.
And it's not acting in a serious role, it's seriously bring comedy and be good at delivery. But pleasantly surprised, the girl has comedic chops. Like she is hysterical.
Yeah.
She steals every scene that she's in, as Glenda should. She demands your attention, and you feel the brooding alphabet underneath of it all. And I just think the Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo's chemistry together
Ugh.
are unparalleled.
Yeah.
And I think if you had cast anybody else in either of those two roles, this would have been a different movie.
Yeah, they both do such a great job. And Ariana Grande, I mean, if you close your eyes, it's hard to tell sometimes if it's
She can pull out the Kristen Chenoweth when she needs to, and including down to her more like blunt mannerisms, the growl to her voice sometimes, and the spunkiness. But no, and she really does just make it her own, and she sounds like a younger version of it. And I know that Kristen Chenoweth wasn't that old when she recorded it. Neither was Idina Menzel. But they are way more believable as college age students. Just with the softness of their voices and the youthful glow, we'll say, for lack of a better term.
The scene of them. It's like they were passing the baton to them.
This is our spoiler review. We can mention, yes, Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth are in this movie. They are when you get into Oz, and it's the One Short Day song, and it has been extended to give them a kind of like how Thor Ragnarok and Thor Love and Thunder have that. Here's the recap of what happened by the local theater troupe. And I really liked this scene. I didn't know about it in advance. I was super not listening to the soundtrack, not that I was chronically not online for once. So seeing that, it was really nice. And then they had the scene to where they were facing their legacies, and I just
it was a full on like just passing the baton to them, and it wasn't in a corny way or like, oh, they're just doing a mock-up of it. No, it really felt like, here, it's yours now.
They had magic wands. They physically passed the baton. But no, there's not, thinking about it, there's not a single scene that I would cut from this movie.
No.
I think all of it is necessary. All of it enriches the experience. And it truly is the stage musical enhanced and brought to the cinema, which I have not seen done so successfully ever. Before this movie, a lot of stage to screen movies of musicals are, if it's not touring around June, you can't go see it, or you're too poor to go see it in the theater. But no, this truly felt like it's its own thing, and that it can stand on its own. And it's not just like the budget Wicked, just like it's the budget Dear Evan Hansen, the budget Mean Girls. This is the big budget Wicked.
It is magical, and I love how they combine the magic with the steampunk aesthetics.
Yeah, anything that's wizard related is steampunkery, and anything that is not is just natural and fantastical. That this world is so well realized.
Yes,
but no, going back to cast, I also want to shout out Bowen Yang. He is also a scene stealer. Every scene that he was in, you could tell that there wasn't a lot for him to do in the script, but he made it his own. He found something to do. He found something funny to do. And he made it memorable. And the script gave him pretty much nothing. He was there just to be the mean girlfriend. Which he did fantastically. He did better than the other mean girl
Yeah.
because I don't remember anything she did. But also I really like Michelle Yeoh in this.
Hmm.
Like she plays a good villain, even though she's like one of the nicest people ever.
Well, and I like the hints to even going back to the original Wizard of Oz. She's like, "Oh, I can do weather," and she parts the clouds, and that's her magic
Now, if she could move to our town, that would be great. The weather is abysmal. So Michelle Yeoh, if you're listening and can control the weather in real life, we have a room we can put you up in. But no, she did a great job, and I know that you really like Jeff Goldblum's version of the Wizard.
Hmm. I think he
Um,
portrays a good snake oil salesman. He has that sliminess about
Ew.
him.
But no, this movie is very well cast, and I cannot give enough flowers to Cynthia Erivo and to Ariana Grande,
Hmm.
and this whole cast does an excellent job with the music
Yes.
because they have a tall order. The show is famous because of its music and how catchy it is and how everybody knows it,
Hmm.
and being able to have a new version and have people accept it and enjoy it just as much as the original
Yeah.
is crazy difficult.
Yeah, I need more. I need this to be like a cinematic universe.
Yeah, and I think that every single song is better than the Broadway cast recording from the early 2000s.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's like what, 3 other books?
Yeah. There's
Apart
4
from
original books.
Wicked.
Wicked is based on one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the stage musical.
and then
This movie is based on half of the
Yeah.
first book.
And then you have all the original content of Wizard of Oz in those books.
Yeah.
I think they ought to try to make this into a little cinematic universe, and it would be interesting to have a musical.
I think if it makes enough money, they will.
Mm-hmm.
Also, because everybody's clearly passionate about this, especially the cast. Like, I'm pretty sure Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo would play these characters for the rest of their lives and be happy and need nothing else. You can tell just how much they love this project.
Yeah.
I do worry about writing a bunch of new music that is as iconic.
Yeah.
But you know what? Go for it. We're about to see Moana 2 in a few days. So we'll writing new music to something
Even
that
if
was already
somebody
iconic.
comes up with some sort of spin-off to where it's like a TV show or something.
Oh, I don't want them to do that. I think that the budget has to be a movie budget in order for this to work. And I think that's why it does work, because they have the money to throw at it. And Universal knew the assignment. They knew that it was going to cost, and they spent all of the money they needed to.
Yeah.
I
just want a Wizard of Oz world.
Well, you're getting at least one more. So we'll see how the second one does. If you want a third one, then you have to go see the second one. But no, the music is incredible, and obviously we rate this movie very highly. Like I said, it is a masterclass, a master class in how to bring a stage musical to the big screen. It just enhances the original in every single way. It still stays true to its musical theater roots and doesn't try to be something else. It just tries to be a bigger, greater version of that. So, with that being said, let's get into the ratings. What do you rate this movie out of 10?
10 out of 10. I don't think it can go up any higher. I know you're supposed to rate for growth, but I think
you can rate however you want. It's your rating.
Well, I say a 10 because I think it's either got to go steady and keep going with this momentum, or it's going to drop down.
Yeah,
I don't think
I
it
am
can
worried
go
about that.
up any higher.
But like I said, this movie was 100% lightning in a bottle. Like, maybe they can do it twice and make it just as good as this one for part 2. I'm a little worried about it because this one is so good.
Yeah.
But no, I also, for the very first time, am rating this movie a 10 out of 10. I would not change a thing. It is more than I ever hoped it would be. It will be my entire personality for the foreseeable future. It delivered. It knew the assignment and it delivered. And everybody knew the assignment and everybody contributed what they needed to at the highest level that they were able to. But yeah, this movie is incredible, and it's a really special movie. It is also incredibly theater worthy. So please do not wait for streaming to see this movie.
No.
You have to see it in the
You're
theater.
going to want to see it multiple times, and then you're going to want it to be on streaming so you can buy it immediately.
Yes, I would. If it were $50 on streaming right now, like on PVOD right now, I would buy it.
Mm-hmm.
But no, seeing the visuals in the theater, experiencing the sound in the theater, also just experiencing the fan culture of it all, totally worthy of theater. I would not wait on this one. I think that most movies that have come out this year have been wait for streaming. No, not all of them. There have been some that are extremely theater worthy. But in a world where streaming movies are being pushed into the movie theater, this is not a streaming movie.
No.
This is one.
Go now.
Go see it in the theater. Stop this video. Go see it. But yeah, and we will probably be going to see it again. I would really like to see it again. In fact, I probably would.
As soon as we can get tickets that are next to each other in the theater, this thing's been sold out since we saw it.
Yeah, we almost went to see it again today, but we would have had to sit like on different parts of the theater, which I would have probably been fine with because I want to see it again that desperately. But yes, I know your social media is probably filled to the brim with Wicked and people praising it. It's warranted. It is not just people going crazy. It is. This movie really is something special, and I hope that y'all will give it a chance.
Yeah.
And if you're watching our channel, you've probably already seen it 3 times anyway. But let us know in the comments down below. Shoot us a message. What do you think about Wicked? Did you enjoy it as much as we did? And let us know what other content you want to see from Bleeding Rainbow Comics. And for Bleeding Rainbow Comics, I'm LJ.
And I'm Win.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.